Okay, welcome everybody to another edition of Jacob's Bake Off with our intrepid hero, Jacob, coming all the way from the underground.
Yeah,
Where today, Jacob?
I'm good.
An undisclosed location.
Yeah,
Okay, not to be revealed. Okay, so we're on the Parsha Truma. You have the Parsha there? Parsha Truma. You see it?
yeah.
And today's Parsha is mind-boggling. So be careful. Have you had your mind boggled lately?
Not really.
Okay, so good. There's a fascinating experience. So we're on Parshas Truma. It's in chapter 25, verse 1 of the book of Exodus. See it?
25.
25, 1.
Okay.
You want to read verse 2?
Okay. Speak to the Israelites and have them bring me an offering. Take my offering from everyone whose heart impels him to give.
Okay, very good. Very good. So we really need to read the Hebrew. If you read the Hebrew, you get a very different an understanding. How's your Hebrew?
Okay. It's all right.
Working on it.
Yeah, this is pretty simple.
Go ahead.
Daber al b'nei Yisrael v'yikhu li teruma me'es kol ish asher yidvenu libo tikhu es terumati.
Right. You want to translate?
Say to all of Israel, take for me Truma from all the men that have it in their hearts,
Right.
to take from the Truma.
Very good. So the problem with the verse is the grammar's not great. Nothing personal. You know, we've all got to work on our grammar. But the Almighty wrote the grammar here needs some work. You know, in those days, they didn't have spell checkers or chat GBT. So the verse reads, God says to the Jewish people, take from me Truma, right? Truma translates as basically a gift. So if I were telling you, I'm going to see you next week, can you bring me a gift? How would I say it?
When I come next week, could you bring a gift?
Could you bring a gift, right? You wouldn't say take a gift. In other words, when I give you something, I say I have something to give you. I don't have something that you should take from me. In other words, the language is backwards. I take from you something, you give me something. The words should have said, the language should have said, the grammar should have said, tell the Jewish people to give to me a gift, not take from me a gift. You get it?
I do.
So why does it say you should take from me a gift?
To take from your crops.
Well, that's true, but that would be with everything. Right? You know, you walk into a store, you give them money, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the general idea. Right? I give them money, I take a computer. I give them money, I get bananas. Here I am. The store is take from me money. The store says to you, don't give me money, take from me money. That's not the way to say it. That's not the way you say it in English. It's not the way you say it in Hebrew either. Why does the verse say, take from me money?
I don't know.
So you see, there's a famous story of one of the Rothschilds, the founder of the Rothschild dynasty. And someone came in one day. In his day, he was the Elon Musk, the Warren Buffett, the Jeff Bezos of his day. Right? So he was world famous, probably the richest man in the world at the time. So he was meeting with somebody, and he said to him, how much are you worth? Right? Now, they didn't have this before the internet. Can you imagine such a thing? How much are you worth? So you didn't have it online. You couldn't look it up like you can today. So he said, okay, let me look it up. And he pulled out a ledger. And he starts adding it up. And his attendant, his assistant, is sitting there. And he says, excuse me, sir, but you got the wrong book. This is your donations. So he says, I know. He says, but everything I have, I could lose. A mine could be flooded. A country could, take away all my land. The banks could foreclose. Everything I have is when you have money, you don't really have anything. We all have a problem with this Bitcoin. I say we all. I have a problem with this Bitcoin. Or a lot of people have a problem with Bitcoin because they go, it's not really anything. It's true, but money isn't anything either. When you have $1, you have $1 in your wallet. I hope you have $1 in your wallet, right? You have $1 in your wallet?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you have $1, right? How much is it worth?
It's not its weight in gold anymore, so.
Not its weight in paper either. You can't even sell it as a piece of paper.
No.
Right? So how much is it worth?
Nothing.
It's only worth what people think it's worth.
Is that the same for gold?
No. Well, to some degree, that's true. Gold has an intrinsic value. That's a whole nother world. That's another story. But gold seemingly has an intrinsic value. But you're right. Gold also has an aspect to it that it's only worth it's only worth what people think it's worth. That's why it keeps going up and down in value. Hang on one sec. Right? But money is nothing. No, isn't going. Money doesn't have any. I mean, the paper it's printed on isn't worth anything. Couldn't do anything with it. Like there's some currencies that got high inflation. The paper isn't worth anything. You can't do anything. Right? So all you ever have, all money is worth. You have $1, you have $100, you have $1 million, you have $1 billion. All the money is worth is what you could do. It's a potential. In other words, you live on a desert island and you have $1 billion. It's not worth much. Right? It's only worth as much as you can. In other words, right? There's a famous question, right? There are 4 quadrants. The rich get richer, the rich get poorer, the poor get poorer, and the poor get richer. Right? In other words, in life, those are the only 4 things that can possibly happen to you. Making sense?
Yes.
Except one of the boxes isn't true. One of the quadrants isn't true. Which one?
The poor get poorer.
No. You can go from poor America to poor Somalia, and it's a big downturn in the quality of life.
That's true. The rich get poorer.
No, you can go from there are lots of rich people that lost all their money. That happens, unfortunately, or sometimes fortunately.
The rich get richer?
The rich, you only had two left,
Yeah.
right? Because you couldn't say the poor get richer because we know that happens, right? So the rich get richer. The rich cannot get richer, right? There is nothing that Warren Buffett can buy, right? The Jeff Bezos cannot buy, right? And certainly nothing that will make him happy. But the truth of the matter is there's nothing Warren Buffett can buy that you can't buy that would make either of you happy. All the things that you need money for in this world, you can buy. That's true. He can get a private jet, and you would have to take commercial. Right? But going to wherever it is that he wants to go to is not going to make him happier. He could buy a yacht, and you can't. I think maybe you can, but it's certainly not going to make either of you happier. Once you get to a certain level of wealth, the money doesn't do anything for you, and it's quite a low level. Economists estimate it's about $70,000 annual income. They study it. People don't get any happier once they reach that level, which isn't very high. But even within that, all the money can do for you is what you can buy with it. It's a potential to buy something. So all you have in life is what you own. Now you can only sit on one chair at a time, and you can only sleep on one bed at a time, and you can only wear one pair of socks at a time. So beyond a very small level, all you ever have is what you give away. Is what you do for other people, or for other things, I should say, to be more accurate. In other words, you build a house, you have a house, you did something. You chop down the tree, you did something. Or you help a little old lady across the street, you did something. The only way to get anything in this world is to give something away. Maybe it's your time, maybe it's your money. That's the only way you can get anything. Yvonne?
I do.
That's the only way to get anything. So how do you get the most? I forget what the number is. I've got it over here. Hang on a sec. Right, every year, this is numbers a little old now. It's probably gone up a lot, right, with inflation. But every year, there's $100 billion. I think that's just in America, but I might be wrong. Right, $100 billion is spent just on dog food.
Wow.
Oh, sorry, no, don't dog, pet food. Pet food. $100 billion is spent every year on pet food.
Wow.
Now, that means you could save, not you personally, $100 billion a year if you don't spend. Right? If you're watching this video and you have a pet, right, you could save. Add up the numbers. Just as pet food, let alone the kennel, let alone the vet visits, let alone all the other stuff. What need does a pet do for anybody?
Well, it's comfortable. It'll sit on your lap. I don't know.
You need a furry thing to sit on your lap?
I don't know. It's happy when you feed it.
I understand that. So you see what you're saying is everybody needs something to give to. Now, it would be a lot cheaper, instead of buying a cat or a dog, buy a stuffed animal. Right? It doesn't shed, doesn't need to go to the bathroom, doesn't need feeding, doesn't need to go to the vet, doesn't die, doesn't run away. It always listens. When I was a teenager, they had this thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It was called a pet rock.
Oh, yes, I've heard of it.
It was very big at one point. Right? It's the perfect pet because it doesn't do anything. Right? Of course, it's completely, it was just a fad and it was just a gimmick and it lasted a certain. Whoever invented the idea or came up with the idea was a genius and they probably made a lot of money of people's stupidity. But nevertheless, it's it doesn't last because you have nothing to give to. It has a very low level of giving. In other words, yes, you can give to a rock. You can have a pet rock and you can take it for walks and things like that, right? But the higher the consciousness of the thing you're giving to, the higher the meaning. This is why people have hobbies. Why do people have hobbies? I know a guy once, very wealthy guy. His hobby was collecting old radios.
Wow.
Right? So he had all these radios, right? You can only listen to one station at a time. What do you get out of collect radio? Because everybody needs something to give to. Now, did this make him happy? It made him a little happy. You find some, rare radio, and you get a little bit of a thrill. But it's not. It doesn't keep you warm and cozy at night. It doesn't give you warm, fuzzy feelings because it's not a very high, meaningful feeling. You're not giving to a conscious being. You give to an animal, it's even more. Now, you're not married, I don't think, right?
No, I'm not.
Not yet, not this week.
No, not this week.
So you see, so people complain about their spouses. You might have heard this. People complain about their spouses for things that their animals wouldn't dream of doing. Or put it differently, if their spouses were to do things that their animals, their pets did, it wouldn't be a grounds for divorce. It would be grounds for homicide. Right? You ever hear of anybody complaining about their husband who chews their shoes? Right, I came home the other night and my wife chewed up our rug. He left scratch marks on the door. It is what pets do. Why do people do it? Because they need something to give to. We all need something to give to. The more meaningful thing you give to, the more meaningful your life will be. If you've ever met anybody, I've met people who went to Israel to fight in the war of 1948. Right? It's very meaningful. They feel like they did something. When October 7th happened, just over a year ago, people from all over the world went to Israel to join the army. They had nothing to do with Israel. They'd given up. They left. They're gone, right? But a lot of them paid for the flights themselves. Why? Because to do something meaningful, to give to something meaningful, you have it for the rest of your life. I was there when we stormed the house and saved the hostages. People who did that have something very meaningful. Rav Nachman used to tell the story of the best vacation you ever had. You know the best vacation you ever had? So you go on vacation to New York and you're crossing on the ferry over the East River. Apparently the East River I don't know if it still is, used to be very polluted. And someone falls overboard and he can't swim. and you're the only one who can swim. So you jump in, right? It's disgusting, freezing cold. You pull the guy out, save his life. Right? You could go to Barbados, you could go to Tahiti, you could climb the Mount Everest, but you'll always remember the time you saved someone's life on vacation. You'll never forget it.
That's true.
So you see, right? People complain about life in Europe before the war. And what did they do? They went to Israel to establish the state of Israel. What were the conditions like in Israel before the war? Even after the war wasn't much better. What was it like? It was worse. Not only did they have abject poverty, worse than they had in Europe, but they were being shot at too and massacred by the Arabs. But they loved it. Because in Israel, they were establishing the future. They could have done that in Europe too, but they didn't think of it like that. Yvonne?
Yes.
So you see, when you have something big to give to, doesn't matter what your problems are in life, they dissipate. It's not that you have problems, it's you just don't have a reason to suffer the problems. You see the difference?
Yes.
If you think about trying to get rid of your problems, you won't get anywhere. It won't help you. You just don't have a reason. You don't have something big enough to give to make the problems disappear.
Hmm.
See, I know people that don't mind sitting in an uncomfortable chair. I know people that are perfectly fine eating stale food. And they don't have a problem either watching a movie on a scratch screen with lousy audio in a stuffy and noisy room. If they're on a plane going to their favorite vacation spot. If you're on a plane right now going to Israel, right, you have a different attitude, even though you're going through the same things. If you have a big enough goal, all your problems disappear. If you don't have a big enough goal, or your problems are only to the level your goal isn't big enough. If you have a bigger goal, your problems disappear.
Hmm. I hear.
So what goal do you want? What goal would be big enough?
To learn Torah.
Exactly. But why do you want to learn Torah?
I don't know.
So that's why it doesn't inspire you, because you don't know why you'd want to learn Torah. You see, the biggest goal we can have is rebuilding the base of Mikdash, which is what this week's Parsha is all about. That's why we break a class under the chuppah. Because if your goal is to rebuild the base of Mikdash, then all the problems you have in your house won't mean anything. They won't bother you. If you have a big enough goal.
Hmm.
You see, I want you to imagine for a minute. right? You're Isaac Newton. You heard of Isaac Newton, right?
Yeah.
Famous Englishman. So he's sitting there in the 1700s, right? And he's trying to figure out the laws of motion, right? And in pops into his room a time machine. And out gets to this machine is Albert Einstein, right? And Albert Einstein introduced himself. He said, I'm from 200 years in the future. And all the physics that I know is based on you, right? So I'm going to give you the secret that's going to blow your mind and be the biggest discovery in science for 1,000 years. It's going to change everything. And Isaac Newton's like, oh my goodness, this is incredible, right? And he pulls out a piece of paper and he writes down E equals MC squared. And then he says, you think about this, I got to go. The laws of time travel only allow me 5 minutes and I can't say any more. And he disappears. And Isaac Newton's left with this E equals MC squared, which means nothing to him. What would he do?
I don't know.
He wouldn't sleep. He'd go, my goodness, this is incredible. I'm holding in my hands the secrets of the universe. Right? He would be pondering and thinking and sweating and then, he's got the secret, the formula that explains everything. Right? Yeah. You see, that's what the Torah is. The Almighty created a book. The Almighty came from another world into our world. He wrote down a book, and he says, in here is the secrets of the universe. Everything's in it. And you look at it and go, I don't see anything.
Yes.
So, of course, it's not inspiring. Doesn't get you anywhere. But it's the secrets of the universe. You could change the future. You could change you could solve all the problems of life right here.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. It's got it all there. So how could you not be excited? When you realize that's what you're studying, that's what you have in your hands. You see, we're so used to it, it's become too familiar. But if you're the first person to read the book, you're the first person to get the Torah, you go, oh my goodness, this is what mysteries of existence can it reveal for me? When the Almighty wrote the Torah, he had Jacob Weissman in mind.
Wow.
You understand? It's written for all of us. Each person is designed, the Torah is designed for them. Now, how you write a book like that, I have no idea. I couldn't write a book like that. Rabbi Goldhar, he gives an example. He says, imagine you go to MIT and you say, I want to make a donation of $1 billion, but I want you to open up a new department. I want you to write a book that will teach people how to live. The best wisdom there is for a 10-year-old, right? The 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, right? Each person at each age would have the book that's perfect for them. He says, we can do that. Right? We can do that. So he says, but I want it to be the same book. They'll laugh at him. You can give $10 billion, they can't do it. They could research the best advice for 30-year-olds, and the best advice for 50-year-olds, and the best advice for 70-year-olds, and the best advice for teenagers. But they can't write a book that every age, everyone will relate to. However old you are, you can read the Bible, the Torah, and you'll connect with it.
I hear.
You study the Torah like that, all your problems will vanish. What does that mean? It means when you're reading the Torah and you're looking at a Parsha or a Pasuk, and you ask yourself, if I was God, would I write this? Is this telling me anything that I don't already know or that I need to know about life? And if the answer is no, then you keep digging. Why did you write it? What is it trying to tell me that I don't already know? When you learn Torah like that, you'll come up with incredible things.
That's true. Wow.
You got it?
I do.
Okay, we're going to give it a shot.
Hopefully.
Okay, so this is what I want you. This is your assignment. Okay? 5 minutes a week. That's all. 5 minutes a week. Right? Learn Torah like that. Is that too much to ask?
Like it was meant for me?
That's right. What is God trying to tell me? 5 minutes a week. That's all you have to do. Once a week, pick your day, whatever day you'd like. It's okay. And then sit in front of the Torah. Think, my goodness, what is God? You can start from the beginning of the Chumash. That's fine. And ask yourself, what is God trying to tell me with this? Why did he write this for me? 5 minutes a week. The rest of the time, you can, sit there and enjoy yourself and think about, Space Trek and Jeff Bezos and Amazon and whatever you want to think about. The weather, I don't mind. But for 5 minutes a week, study Torah like that. 5 minutes, you'll see it change your life. Okay, you got it?
I do.
Thanks, Jacob. Love you.
All
Have a
right,
good week.
All right.
All the best. Bye.
Bye.